Good morning, everyone. Anyone who's watching this video. These are crazy times, unprecedented, of course. But let's keep some normality. Let's dig in and let's have a look at some evaluation on a text that I've got on the screen. Now, hopefully this microphone's nice and clear. I bought a little microphone just before we had to stay inside, before we had to start going a little insane. And hopefully you can hear the videos a little bit better now, so I'll be moving about a bit so the volume might change. I hope you're all well. This is something we've never experienced before, so we've got to keep positive, we've got to keep a routine going. That's why I'm doing this video. And let's just treat it like anything else. Let's just keep working on those skills, because we don't know what's going to happen. And no one's ever successful without hard work. And with that in mind, let's pretend like everything's normal and let's get into an evaluation video. Now, for this video, I am not going to be typing up my response. I will be, however, annotating and talking you through the process of evaluation, because after marking the mocks, and a lot of people can handle language instruction now, but it's when it comes to that evaluation, it's just missing that little bit extra to take most people from between 7 to 9 marks. If you want to be looking more 11 to full marks, 15 out of 15, then these are the things you have to do. Now, the text itself, A Rose for Winter, I have not read this text in a long time, so I'm really responding to it as I probably would in an exam. Alright, so let's just have a quick look. Alright, ignore the notifications that are coming through. A Rose for Winter, Laurie Lee. It's non-fiction. It's when Laurie Lee travelled through Andalusia. I just know that's in southern Spain. The most important part is the extract is a bullfight in Seville, or Sevilla. And it comes from the memoir that he wrote about his journey. So straight away, let's see if I can remember how to operate this. I've got a memoir, a little bit too intense, that colour. We'll get back to that. So I know it's going to be personal. And here's my question. Alright, here's my question. Oh, so I'm doing that. This is the most important part of the text. Let's drag that over to there for a minute. Alright, so if we can make it a little bit bigger. No, we can't, but we can zoom in after. There are attempts to bring her experience, should say he, my mistake, to life. Evaluate how successfully this is achieved. So, a couple of things I'm just going to put at the side to make your life easier. If it's going to let me type, that is. Or even write. Let's have a look over here. We must work through the beginning, the middle, and the end. I think people misconstruing this that that has to be 3 things. It doesn't. Okay, you could have 2 from the top. You could have 1 from the middle, 1 from the end, or vice versa. And that will help you with the content. Now, I've got to look for everything to do with this. And what a lot of people are not doing when it comes to evaluation is they're not defining the question. Experience. So you might have heard me talk about 3D thinking before. If not, go and check out my other evaluation videos. But it's basically, you'll find a lot of these questions are almost begging you to define what their experience is. In paper 1, it was based on the narrator's experience of a future world. Very few people actually spoke about what his experience was like. Was it scary? Was it weird? Was it fun? Was it exciting? So in this case, we're just going to have a quick look to see what exactly that experience is. Okay. Let's have a start of a read of this. Okay, so not too long at all. Hasn't been laid out exactly how I'd like. let's get into it. A superb straight-limbed young man now stepped forward into the ring, and a cheer went up, for he had already earned some reputation. He was dressed not in the heavy gold embroidered garments of the professional matador, but in Angelasian riding clothes. A broad black hat, short waistcoat, tight-fitting trousers, and high-heeled boots. That's what I look like on the weekend. Experience. How does it bring it to life? Well, let's just take this opening bit. Let's drag that over here. Let's look over here now. Let's move that text away. So, I think that is brought to life very well when it says cheer. The fact that it's at the start as well. I do like to mention things that happen at the start and at the end, because it gives me something to talk about. I think the fact that it uses sound works really well to bring it to life, because it's auditory. Is it auditory or auditory? Even I spell things wrong. Alright, let's keep reading. I'll come back to that after. Oh, drawing on the screen. With cape folded, hat held to his breast, he faced the president's back, bowed and raised his head, and in ringing tones dedicated the next bull to one of the virgins whose name was Gloria. Let's take this bit. Again, I'm just trying to think, how exactly is this experience brought to life? Well, look again. You've got sound again. Ringing tones, okay? As well, look what the writer's done here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, screen's going off. 1 sec. 4, 5, 6. There's like 6 things that happen in here. So how do they bring it to life? Well, it's the fact that it's not just one action that's described. You've got multiple actions. And when you have multiple actions described, that's a real good way of bringing something to life, because it's not just one thing, is it? You don't, when you read a book and you want to create some drama, you don't want the character just to go through one thing. It doesn't bring that drama to life. Let's keep reading. Her companions congratulated her rather noisily upon the honour. You're probably guessing now there, noisily. Could be used again if we wanted for sound. While she, huge eyes and delicate as a doll, waved a small hand and then went pale as death. The president leaned forward and gave the signal. The trumpet sounded and the doors opened for the 4th bull. He came in like thunder, snorting and kicking up the dust, his black coat shining like a seal, his horned head lowered for immediate attack. Ah, yes, we've got so much here, okay. Just going to have to nick that bit there. Let's bring it over here. I love this software. Absolutely love it. I don't like to use language instruction evaluation, but you could get away with saying the simile. But at the end of the day, all similes and metaphors are a form of comparison. So I think the fact that a comparison is used to describe the bull really brings it to life, because again, just like the person themselves, every action is described. And as we said earlier, when everything's described, it brings it to life. It's very realistic. Okay, the snorting, the kicking. We've got this sensory language again. Everything's all about the senses in this extract. You would have noticed just before that about the trumpet sound, and I think it said you've got more sound. Alright, they're really trying to bring it to life. 2 assistants trailed long capes, ran out and played in first a formal prologue designed to discover the unknown temper of the bull. Slowly, their job done, they were beaten back towards the barriers, and the bull stood alone. Then Gloria's champion walked out across the sand. He took up his stand, the pale sun glowed in his rigid face, gave a loud, clear shout to the bull, and from that moment we witnessed an almost faultless combat. Elegant, firm-footed as a dancer, but with cold courage and movements of continual beauty, the boy entirely dominated the bull. Come on, guys. This is bringing it to life. Of course it is. It's like feel like I'm there, and I guess that's the point, isn't it? Let's bring it down here. So, he took up his stand, the pale sun gilding his rigid face. There's so much description. Now, don't forget, evaluation is all about, like, why do things work well? Now, why does description work well? Because it creates a sense of realism, and without it, it doesn't bring something to life. She's trying to make us feel like like we're there. Words like we creates that togetherness. It does feel like we're experiencing it alongside the writer. Let's go back and look. Beginning up here, middle, end. I'm moving towards the end now. He seemed to turn the fury of the beast into a creative force which he alone controlled, a thrusting weight of flesh and bone with which he drew ritual patterns across the sand. The bull charged and charged again, loud nostrils sweating for death, and the boy turned and teased him at will, reducing him at last to a kind of enchanted helplessness, so that the bull stood hypnotised, unable to move, while the young man kissed the horns along with the bull on hand. Oh, you can see what I'm trying to get at here. Look at this. Look at this. Let's go from here. Alright, I can't say complex sentence. I could, but I want to avoid it. Alright, but the fact that the writers used a long sentence as opposed to a short sentence is a really good technique. It works well because this long sentence creates a sense of dizziness. There's so much happening. Oh, don't like that. I'm not writing with a bloody highlighter. Alright, a lot happening. And why does this work well when a lot of things happen? I don't know. Does that link to the question? Let's see. Does it create or bring the experience to life? I think it does indeed. Okay, when a lot happens, you're able to understand the situation better. Let's move towards the end now. Hopefully this should be a short video. He never ran, he scarcely moved his feet, but he turned his cape like liquid fire, and the bull, snorting with mysterious amazement, seemed to adore him against his will, brushing the cape as a bee does a poppy. How poetic is that? There's so many comparisons, similes in here. And you can comment on that. Alright? The writer doesn't just use one simile, one comparison. Multiple comparisons are used throughout. And why does that work well? Because when you compare something to something else, it gives you an understanding. You know, that's what similes and metaphors do. They help you understand perhaps complex subjects or thoughts in a very quick way. Brushing the cape as a bee does a poppy. Well, we know bees brush poppies quite delicately, and from here we can understand that the bull, sorry, excuse that, the bull is brushing the poppy in such a way as well, brushing the cape. So lots of similes, lots of comparisons used throughout. That works really well to bring it to life because it helps us understand what's happening without actually saying it. And we come to the end of the text here. The moment for the kill arrived, and this was accomplished with almost tragic simplicity and grace. The crowd rose to its feet with one loud cry. Hats, caps, cushions, even raincoats were thrown into the ring. The young man stood amongst these tributes and smiled palely at the crowd. Then he came, sword in hand, and bowed low to the president and to Gloria. Colour and intoxication had returned to the girl's cheeks. She stood up and clapped him wildly and threw him a box of cigars. That's alright, innit, for killing a bull. His triumph was hers. It was the least she could do. So, just to finish this short evaluation video, I must always think about the start and the end. And I really like this end bit here. Alright. I think this brings the experience to life because this is the bit we've almost been waiting for. So it's really well structured. Okay. The text starts and ends with sound. So the experience and how it's brought to life is well done, because there's not a moment when the sound stops, and it's almost like we have this kind of circle of sound, and it brings that experience to life because the experience never stops. It's there's not one moment in that text where we don't feel like we're stuck in that ring with the writer, watching this whole thing happen. Is there anything else we can talk about? Just how well it brings that experience to life. Sorry, I keep doing that. Drawing on the screen. Let's have a look. Anything I can talk about? Of course there is. Yeah, forgot what I said at the start. Memoir. Alright. Let's bring it over here. Why do memoirs work well to bring something to life? Because it's personal, it's believable. And you know, if this was an article, it wouldn't work so well to bring it to life because it's just more of like a retelling of something that's happened. At least with a memoir, you know it's first-hand experience, and that's what works well to bring this whole thing to life. So overall, it works well because it's a memoir. It's the fact that it's got so much description in it that works well to help bring that experience to life. There's so many things said. It starts with sound, ends with sound, so the experience is perpetual, it's non-stop. Uses a lot of comparisons to help us understand the experience better and how things were happening. They uses long sentences, and when a lot happens and we use long sentences, that's easier to understand someone's experience. What else did we get? That's it really. Yeah, I think that's more than enough to talk about. So hopefully this video has helped you. Hopefully this video's brought some kind of normality to everything that's ongoing. If you have any questions or you'd like me to type up a response to this, I can do. And keep going, people. Yep, keep going. You're not alone. Make sure you have breaks throughout the day and do some work as well, because it'll just keep everything normal. Best of luck with everything.